recording 6:06 in the evening, West Coast time. Getting a satellite delay on YouTube. April 30th, 2024. We're losing.
And up there are very tall fences. Those gates are, the barricades are short, but the gates around Columbia are about 10, 12 feet high. So it'd be very hard for them to get over that. Police are now going in. They are now going in to the Columbia campus I can see them going into campus on the 114th Street side. Even more police are even pouring into this area.
I want to go to Shimon Prokipez. Shimon, what are you seeing?
And we are right with them right now. They are moving in. They are walking. These are the search teams that we were with earlier. They are now making their way towards the campus. We are just behind them. Guys, just stay. Okay. They are walking into the campus. They have now made a left. Here, Anderson, Evelio, come over here. If you can get this shot. No. We're fine. We're getting on the side. We're good. But that's that
Julia
right
Vargas
there,
Jones.
Anderson. You can see.
Go ahead, Shimon.
Them making the left. That is them making their way.
Okay, I want to go to Julia Vargas Jones, who's on campus outside Hamilton Hall. Julia, what are you seeing?
Anderson, yes, we're good. We are hearing a lot of metal clanking. Some people are saying they're hearing ladders. I'm not sure. I can't see. Like I told you, I can't see anything.
There are gates being moved around. Are you pointing to the 116th?
Is this way. Right here, we're looking at 114th. This is the 114th entrance. There they are. This is the library. This is the main library of Columbia. Butler.
So that's the police on campus?
And they're giving orders to disperse. Police is on campus. The New York Police Department is on campus.
So where are they? They're coming in, now that they're on campus, they're from 114th.
Yeah, they came from another gate on 114th, and they're coming in our direction. So I'm gonna step to the side, make sure that we are okay. But there's an order to disperse. Lots of student media here, Anderson. You can see. But this is what we thought would happen. This is what we've been waiting to happen, really, all day.
And in terms of where Hamilton Hall is, can you just point in that direction? Is that where they are headed now?
So, police is here. They're turning towards me. They're coming. This is Hamilton Hall.
Okay. So Julia, you obviously need to get wherever you need to get to not.
I do. Okay, we're moving. Okay, so here they are. You're gonna see. Come this way, Kareem. Show them. I got you. Yeah. Okay. So this is happening. They're going up the lawn. Actually, they're gonna come where we are. We better get out of the way.
So
they're
Julia,
just across
about how many police do you see?
From I see a few dozen for now. It seems like they're staging statewide. I believe they're staging over here in that corridor in between. And it seems like they're getting ready to come this way down. Can you show the screen? Just going down here and into Hamilton Hall. That's right there.
Okay. All right, Julia, stay with us as long as you can.
They're still chanting.
So there's Hamilton Hall that you're showing us with. So the students are still outside.
They're outside.
Oh boy. Oh yeah.
The protesters are still forming that human chain, Anderson, I showed you earlier.
So it looks like right now the police are essentially staging outside, kind of regrouping at a slight distance from Hamilton Hall outside. Is that correct?
Yes, but it seems like there's still different groups of police that are coming. I see another few dozen coming in. I don't know if our colleagues outside are seeing more people coming in. More officers come in.
Okay, let me quickly check in with Shimon Prokipez.
But that's what it looks like.
Okay, Shimon, tell us where you are and what you're seeing.
So, Anderson, the buses have just moved in. This is where they will likely take once they start making arrests and start bringing people out. Those buses have now arrived. We're seeing additional technical assistance response unit is here. They're going to help with with video and other things that perhaps the police will be looking to seize. So they're now heading in to the campus. But the significance here, obviously, these buses now arriving. This is where they will bring the people that they arrest. Eventually, they will bring them on the buses, and that's it. It seems at this point they have not moved in any extra officers into the campus. Out here, it's interestingly enough, there's people just out here watching what's going on, and you're seeing some of the officers by standing around the buildings, keeping an eye on things. But at this point out here, what things are fairly under control for the police. And look, so much planning, Anderson, went into this. It's very obvious that the NYPD spent some time planning for this. Today, certainly the escalation of when the group broke into the buildings. Okay, they're asking us, I think, to walk. Okay, yeah. Okay, come on, we're gonna walk. Come on, let's walk. Okay, we're gonna walk. Okay, we're gonna walk. Anderson, it looks like they're gonna bring us closer. Come on. They're gonna bring us closer.
We're all gonna go together. Guys, you can't get forward.
Shimon, we'll come back to you. Let me quickly check in. All right, as soon as you get there, let us know. We're going to check with Miguel Marquez. Miguel, what are you seeing?
Come on, man. Yeah, we are basically in the same place, but 114th Street.
Okay.
Hundreds of New York police officers who had helmets and batons entered the grounds of Columbia University. There are now buses parked outside on 114th Street to make any
Miguel,
arrests.
I want to go back to Julia. Miguel, I'm going to go back to Julia on campus. Julia, what are you seeing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Julia, you're on the air. What are you seeing?
Can you hear me?
Julia, you're on the air. Can you hear me?
Guys, so police is moving right now. Police, we're getting as close as we can to be safe, Anderson, but this is, police are coming in to where we just were, our last live position. That was our live position. There they are at Hamilton Hall. And they're telling people to disperse. They're moving protesters out of the way. They're moving students out of the way. Sorry, we're trying to get this over here. They're just pushing people out, and they're placing themselves between all the media and the protesters and that human chain that we saw earlier.
So, Julia, there's still the students there linked arms in front of the doors, and then there are protesters inside the building as well. Do you see protesters in the windows of that building at all? Or have they shut the window?
I don't see them. I see up there, straight up there, behind that Palestinian flag, there's someone there that's observing everything that's going on. That's where, there they are, up there. I mean, this is what
And they're chanting NYPD KKK, comparing the New York police to the Ku Klux Klan. Is that right? Chief Ramsey, just in terms of tactics, they're clearly just trying to secure the area as much as they can, move off people, anybody who's not protesting, just try to get a kind of an area of calm, correct?
Yeah, you're correct. I mean, you can see that the police are organized. They have a plan. They're trying to clear away as many people as possible. They'll be making entry, go after the people that are inside. and also with the encampment, start to dismantle that encampment. But they're trying to get some semblance of control in that immediate area. So, they're doing exactly what I would expect them to do at this point in time. This is going to be a long, drawn-out process. It's not going to end anytime soon. This is probably going to take most of the night before they get it completely locked down.
We see
everyone.
Chief, on the right-hand side of your screen, outside we saw somebody being led away with their hands zip ties. John Miller, former NYPD Deputy Commissioner of Intelligence and Counterterrorism, is also monitoring this with us. John, what stands out to you at this point?
Well, I think what you're seeing is the end of a process, which is going to be the beginning of another much more tactical process, which is the NYPD has been putting this plan into place over the last couple of days, particularly the last 24 hours when students took over Hamilton Hall by going inside, barricading the doors, smashing the security cameras inside to limit the view of the school and their security people to what was going on. The discussions between the NYPD and Columbia have been what are the tactics that are going to be used, what is the plan, will it be in the daytime or the nighttime, but the NYPD wanted Columbia to agree to be the complainant, to be the one that called the police, to be the one that asked for this action. So what we're going to see now is they will set their police perimeter around the perimeter that the students had set outside Hamilton Hall. They will issue the verbal warnings that you are to disperse to the people outside. Those people will have a choice, which is they can stay in place and face arrest for criminal trespass or disorderly conduct, or they can disperse, and they'll get that chance when those warnings are given. Then they've got to make entry, and that's going to require the emergency service unit, whatever cutting tools they need to use to get past barricades that have been put in place. And then those people who are inside the building will be arrested, charged with criminal trespass, suspended by the school, where they contemplate further action, including expulsion. But as Chuck Ramsey said a moment ago, this isn't going to happen over 5 minutes. The warnings have to be given. They have to be given a chance to disperse. The entries have to be made. The building has to be searched, quite a large building, top to bottom, to look for people in place, people who may be hiding. Then the building has to be cleared. All of those people who are charged or arrested are going to be taken to the Mass Arrest Processing Center, or MAPC, as they call it downtown. They have buses set up where they'll begin to process them even before they're brought down there. And some will be issued summonses, some may be held over for court, but this is an operation that, as we look at it at 9:18 p.m., is going to go on for the next several hours at least.
John, I want to bring in Judge Shira Scheinland, former federal judge, not only for a legal perspective, but you actually were a student at Columbia in 1968 on campus when students took over a building on campus in 68. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. They occupied Kent Hall, which is where the East Asian Institute was, and I was a student studying Chinese and Japanese history, of all things. And so having occupied the building, we were expelled from the building. We had classes in the park, and it was a dangerous situation. I remember it well.
What is it like for you to witness this, both from a former student there who lived through in 68, which I think is the last time police were called to the campus other than recent days, and also just from a legal standpoint as a judge?
Well, from a legal standpoint, to take your second question first, it's one thing to have peaceful protests, but there are time, place, and manner restrictions, and that's the beginning. And then there's civil disobedience, and if you do that, you can expect to be arrested. But at the third stage, there's simple lawlessness. And what troubles me about this is when you have people breaking and entering, property damage, trespass, and potential violence, that's a line that's been crossed. And I think the action being taken now is absolutely correct. This cannot be tolerated. And I'll tell you, the real story is graduation. Columbia's graduation is May 15th, and it's always right where these tents are. And they're prepared. There are students who have spent collectively $1 billion in tuition who are graduating. And their families deserve to see those kids graduate. Those kids want to graduate. This was time for graduation. There's no question in my mind. If this protest was November, it could have been handled. But it's graduation time. So there's lots going on here that doesn't immediately meet the eye.
I want to go back to Julia Vargas Jones, who's on campus. Julia, what's going on?
Mike? Look, Anderson, police has pushed all student press and all other students into. Is this Jay Dante Hall? Yeah, so we're kind of pushed against. This is where the cafeteria is. I'll show you. This is where. Sorry, we're trying to figure out how this works. They're going in to this. This is also student residence. Faculty here as well. They've just cleared this entire area where we walked past earlier. So they've just cleared all that and secured all that. And my understanding is that there's more police coming towards me. They shut it. Are they closing those doors? I believe they're closing those doors and keeping people inside. Barricading them inside. Okay, which way should we go? Which way should we go? We have to go north. Okay.
Guys, please, section here.
So we're being told to leave. We have to leave towards. I've been told that we should be able to go back into the journalism school. That's what I was told to return to.
Guys, thank
But
you.
the gates are now closed. The only way is through where Nypd is taking us.
And Julia, so are other students who have been told to shelter in place, are they staying inside their dorms? Are they allowed to come out now, or everybody staying inside?
I mean, no, they're not allowed to come out. Everyone is supposed to be inside.
Everybody here, we're going to walk you outside this way. All right? Thank you, guys.
Walk out towards, I believe this is 114th that we're heading towards.
This way. Move it this way.
It's very busy. I'm not sure that there is a united message here.
So you're heading out now to, Julia, you're heading out to 114th and Broadway, is that right?
No one here is left to document whatever might
I'm heading towards those gates. They're opening the gates now for us all to leave. I'm not sure if they escort us out. We obviously will not be able to get back.
Okay. And as far as you can see, Julia, at Hamilton Hall, I don't know if you can still see Hamilton Hall. Is there any movement over there, or you can't see anymore?
I'll show you what's happening from Hamilton Hall now. You see those officers coming out on the left side of the screen. They're coming from the direction of Hamilton Hall.
Okay.
Right behind these bleachers here, that's where Hamilton Hall is. Right there, that building up there, that's Hamilton Hall. We can't see it anymore. And police is just pushing us out.
Okay. Julia, remarkable work. I really appreciate it. We'll check in with you momentarily as soon as you get situated. Shimon Prokupez. Shimon, where are you? And what are you seeing?
So we're on 114th Street. We're just the NYPD has put us all in an area here in expectation that we will see some people leaving. We're here on 114th Street, just outside the gates here in the front, and we're just waiting to see if anyone comes out. We have seen we have seen heavily armed officers in some big trucks arriving here, which is pretty significant. And right now, much of the law enforcement is just standing around, and as some of the students who live in the dorms here are just standing around.
Shimon, let me ask you. We're looking at a shot from Spectrum News, New York 1, of officers, it looks like gaining entrance to a building on some sort of a crane or looking into a window with also a riot shield held up to the window. Are you seeing that? And do you know what that is?
Not on my side. I can't. I know what that is. I have a shot of it from the feed. That is the emergency services unit. I think John had been just talking about them. I believe that's who that is. They are the specially trained, heavily armed, who go into these types of situations, barricaded situations, situations where people are inside homes, inside buildings, and are refusing to leave, and they are trained, specifically trained. You see there, one of them is holding a ballistic shield. You see several other officers there standing. I'm not sure about what those officers are doing, but this here now, this shot that I'm seeing from Spectrum News, you're seeing one of the officers with a ballistic shield. The other officers are looking in to see what's in there. But these are the officers that are going in to this building where several of the protesters broke in early this morning.
So is that the Hamilton Hall building?
Remember, that's what it appears to be from what I can tell.
Shimon, let me bring in John Miller. John, with your experience with the NYPD, I mean, they're on a rather large armored vehicle that has sort of a crane-like arm that's brought them up to that window, and now it looks like they're gaining entrance into that window.
Yeah, so that's a Bearcat. Normally, that's a bulletproof rescue vehicle that they use when people are pinned down by gunfire. Not the purpose here. The purpose is to use that feature of the vehicle where it has this basically cherry picker type device that can reach up to a second or third floor window and allow entrance. They are anticipating, based on the information and the observations they've had, that the doors on the bottom level are heavily barricaded. So they'll be entering from, I think I lost the mic there, hang on. They'll be entering from the bottom, but they will also enter from above. And that shield is basically just because if they confront somebody and something is thrown at them, sprayed at them, tossed at them, they want to be prepared.
It seems like, John, they would be entering this. I mean, it looks. I would imagine they're going to be entering this building from multiple locations.
Yes.
One of the concerns that law enforcement has expressed is, how many of these people inside this building are actually students, and if they're not students, who are they?
Yeah, so they're going to have to sort people out, and they're going to have to sort people from who is a Columbia student, who is an outsider. Will they be charged the same or differently, depending on if they were a student or not? But their first thing is to collect those people, put them into custody, get them to a central location, and then start to move them out, because it's going to take a while to clear that building, because they're going to take everybody into custody that they can see who doesn't belong there, but then they're going to have to search the building to find out who may be hiding in some closet, some basement, some room, under a bed, either because they're frightened or because they're trying to avoid the police.
John, as we continue to watch this, Tim Naftali, a Columbia University professor and CNN presidential historian, also is joining us. Tim, I mean, you know Columbia well. I'm wondering what you make of what has been going on there and what you're seeing right now.
Well, I'm terribly concerned, and I'm very sad. I understand why the university saw the takeover of Hamilton Hall as an escalation. I look forward to learning why they decided to move now. The building was taken over earlier today. Let's make clear to everybody, freedom of speech does not include vandalism. It does not protect you if you take a building or occupy a building. So this is not what the students engaged in, the demonstrators, was not the exercise of their First Amendment rights today. They escalated the situation. My concern, however, is that when you bring the police in, there are unintended consequences, I'm sure, and I worry about students getting hurt, not deliberately by the police, but things can happen. And it's very difficult to control a situation like this. John Miller will know better than me. But I worry about the health of my students, and I worry about the health of students who've made mistakes. I was saddened by the escalation that the student demonstrators engaged in today. It really was unjustified. Regardless of the moral outrage one should have about the effect on civilians in Gaza, that is not a justification for engaging in violent acts here in New York City. So what has happened today is terribly worrying, and what we're watching now, because of the unexpected and the role of accident, could turn out very badly. So I worry about the health and safety of the students and of the police too.
Judge Scheinlin, when you were on campus as a student back then, I mean, and it was anti-war demonstrations. Was there this pitting of students against each other, which is what we have been seeing? You know, this animosity of how Jewish students have been treated and others.
No, I don't think there was. I think there were activists and less activists, and the less activists simply stayed away from the protesters. But I don't think there was that internal dissent that you're seeing now, which is so pronounced.
Was there widespread support on campus in '68 for the protests?
I think there was more widespread support than there is now. Now it's a very different situation. It's very polarizing, as you can imagine, given the context of these protests.
Mayor, as you look at this...
As I look at this, it's a hard balancing act to gain control, but then you just don't want to over-militarize your response. So when I see this number of police officers, you just want to you're praying that they get it right, that they're just enough officers that they're able to control the situation, and not too many officers that it causes another escalation, where you see people responding to the response of the police. And that's what I thought we were seeing a little bit of that when you saw the barricades being thrown around. Because that's what happens. We've seen it in other jurisdictions where the response by the police causes an escalation.
But do you think the Columbia administration really had any choice at this point? There's been breaking into property, occupying a building. Do you think they had any choice but to call on the police at this point?
I think calling the police was appropriate.
Okay.
I think restoring order is appropriate. I think that the challenge is once it rises to that level, making sure that you get it right, and protecting life at all costs.
Miguel Marquez, Miguel, what are you seeing outside? It's interesting, Miguel, watching the officers as they're gaining entry from that barricade. They are not in full padded riot gear or anything like that. They are relatively, it seems, I mean, they're wearing riot helmets and they have zip ties, but it doesn't look like they are, it seems like they're going in a very particular way.
Right. We are not seeing any officers in full tactical gear. We're seeing all officers in helmets and batons and the cuffs. The barricade that you were seeing, Hamilton Hall backs onto Amsterdam Avenue, which is sort of open to the city. That has windows there that they can get up to and get into Hamilton Hall. They have the video that we've seen from inside Hamilton Hall. They were barricading doors down at the ground level. That's why they were pulling food up all day long and drinks up to students all day long at Hamilton Hall. So they are trying to make entry there. There are other ways into Hamilton Hall as well that police can probably take advantage of. And right now, Ken, look at this. There's yet another bus. This is the fourth large bus we've seen coming down 114th. The gate we are next to is the main gate that police officers entered, and since we last spoke, dozens and dozens more police officers have gone in. And Ken, if we can just look down 14th. So these are all residence dorms along 114th Street. Police have taken up positions in front of the doors of every single domicile on 114th Street to keep students and residents in. You can hear some chanting sometimes. We can hear a little bit right now. But we haven't seen any of the arrestees, anybody arrested coming out of 114th. There is, now we are seeing them actually. We are seeing people arrested coming out down the streets, coming down there's another entrance down 114th, and they're starting to bring people out of the Columbia grounds down 114th Street and putting them on these buses that they've brought into here. I counted 3 or 4. It is not clear how many people are participating in this. The assumption was there was about several hundred, maybe 300 or so, in both the encampment and in Hamilton Hall. I will tell you, this all kicked off 2 weeks ago when there was one encampment. Police came and made arrests. They arrested 108 people. 70 of those people were not Columbia students. So I think police are going to be, and Columbia is going to be looking for that today. clearly, police now control everything inside the campus. They have moved us, the media, down to this main gate where they made entry into the campus, and they are arresting people inside and then bringing them out. Another gate just down the way. I see another one, perhaps two more people who are in cuffs being led to buses right now coming out of Columbia. So we have a handful of arrests so far, less than a dozen so far. From this side anyway, it sounds like there were some arrests, but it sounded like those were protesters who were outside the gates on the Amsterdam side who were arrested a little earlier tonight. Anderson?
John Miller, as you watch this, and we're watching the split screen, both on the left, police on the left side of the screen, in case you're just joining us, entering via a barricade through a window into Hamilton Hall from Amsterdam Avenue. On the right, we're seeing another vantage point by the gate, one of the many gates into the Columbia campus. We no longer have a camera with eyes on the front entrance to Hamilton Hall, where there had been, John, a line of protesters who had not gone into the building, who were sort of forming a human barricade. Those were likely, if they chose to stay there, were likely the first arrest. So we can show the video from earlier of what the scene was like outside Hamilton Hall from our reporter who was on the scene, Julia Vargas Jones, and her camera person.
Yeah, they came from.
So, John, what's not clear is if they've also now breached the entrance of Hamilton Hall, the front entrance. This is from moments ago when the police were first approaching Hamilton Hall. Whether the people who are being let out right now are just being some of those who may have been arrested who are out sort of forming that human barricade on the front steps of Hamilton Hall. It's not clear to me whether police have actually entered Hamilton Hall through the front. We see them going in through a window on what I guess is the second floor, but we don't know about the front, do we?
No, because our vision is limited because they have taken the media out and basically taken them off campus. But we do know that, they have the cooperation of the Columbia campus administration and security. So when it comes to Hamilton Hall, they're able to enter from multiple sides. They'll have the keys, they'll have the access cards that will get them in. And what you want to do is you want to come in from above the demonstrators if you can, at the same level they're at, and from multiple sides. So wherever people attempt to flee or hide, they should be running into police who are there, who are going to try to control that ground. But to get to the core of your question, their plan was to form their perimeter and then give people a chance to walk away. So that the group of students that were ringing the building front with their arms locked, they'd be told, here's your warning. Those who want to walk away can walk away now. Those who want to remain will be arrested, so they get that choice. So what we're likely seeing is people who walked away, who are not charged, and then people who you're going to see in those flex cuffs that look like zip ties. Those will be people who were taken into custody because they remained after the warning. And then police will remove whatever barricades are at those front doors with ESU, the Emergency Service Unit, and go in through the front as part of their kind of multi-entrance entry into this building. It's interesting about how history repeats itself.
Hey, John, I want to check in with Miguel, because Miguel, I understand you're seeing a lot more people being arrested now.
Yeah, we are, and police are moving us again to the area where they are coming out. I'm actually looking at a bit of a squeeze here. It's going to get interesting. Police are now moving us down to where the people being arrested are coming out. If you look at these buses, you can see the number of people inside the buses there, many of them with Columbia sweaters, a lot of them wearing keffiyehs. I see at least, watch your step. I see at least a dozen people in that bus. This bus has lots of police officers who are with arrestees on this bus. It must be in the dozens at this point, and here are more people who are coming out of Columbia right now. They are still moving us down. We're just going to keep moving as quickly as possible. Here comes somebody else who's been arrested. Two more arrestees. Police are still moving us down farther. Thank you. And this this is where they seem to be bringing out most of the arrestees, right through here, and they want to put us, it sounds like they want to put us in these pens right across here. We're going to stand right here for now and see what happens. Once you're back there, Ken, move over to your, they're going to move us, I think, in a second here, but we will stay here for now. But yes, so this gate is as close as you can get to Hamilton Hall on 114th. They moved us closer, basically, to Amsterdam Avenue. Look down this way, Ken. If you look down 114th to Amsterdam, you can see, I can't tell if those are protesters or people just onlookers, but there is a massive number of people down on Amsterdam as well. And I'm looking to see, because folks are running the direction. It looks like it's just media coming down here right now. This gate is the one that's going to see most of the protesters coming out. Those who have been arrested will be coming through this gate. There are 3 or 4 buses here, and we've already seen, probably 2 to 3 dozen people arrested at this point.
Also watching this is Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, former mayor of Baltimore. Mayor, they're moving reporters, it looks like to a location to actually see people being brought out.
So in the command center, what is happening is they're trying to figure out what are the flashpoints, what are the potential flashpoints. And we saw those students and protesters arm in arm. That is a potential flashpoint. That means if the reporters were there with the cameras on that's an opportunity for people to react to what you know is going to be an ugly scene, with the police probably having to drag the protesters if they did not move on their own. What we will see probably later, because I'm sure they're all wearing body cameras, is exactly what that looked like. But by moving the press back, taking care of that situation, and only showing them when they are coming out, they removed a potential flashpoint, a potential opportunity for chaos in that area.
John Miller, it's interesting to see so many people hiding their faces on campus and now in the streets. I assume some of these people in the streets are not students because they weren't on campus and weren't able to gain access to the campus. But, is that an issue for police or even school administrators when protesters are not allowing themselves to be identified?
Well, it's been interesting because I was up at Columbia last week. I was up at City College last week, and a lot of the demonstrators, even when the press, who is there, our own cameras, which are there to cover the demonstration that they are putting on to bring attention to this, attempt to shoot them, they push the cameras back, they cover their faces, they're wearing masks. I think that they have some belief that if there is something going on like this right now and they're caught on video, that video will later be used as evidence in court. So you've seen a lot of hoodies, a lot of masks, a lot of concealing. But at this point, as we learned going by those buses, there's people on the buses and there's police officers with them. Each one of those police officers may have 2 or 3 of those arrests, and they're going to have to articulate what they saw and what they did that caused that arrest, so that they can testify to that, and that will be on their body cameras, and those people will be identified.
Hey John, Columbia University just released a statement that reads in part, I'm going to read it to you right now, a little after 9 p.m. this evening, the NYPD arrived on campus at the university's request. This decision was made to restore safety and order to our community. We regret that protesters have chosen to escalate the situation through their actions. After the university learned overnight that Hamilton Hall had been occupied, vandalized, and blockaded, we were left with no choice. Columbia public safety personnel were forced out of the building, and a member of our facilities team was threatened. We will not risk the safety of our community or the potential for further escalation. The statement goes on to say, we believe that the group that broke into and occupied the building is led by individuals who are not affiliated with the university. Sadly, this dangerous situation followed more than a week of what had been productive discussions with representatives of the West Lawn encampment. The statement continues, the decision to reach out to the NYPD was in response to the actions of the protesters, not the cause they are championing. We have made it clear that the life of campus cannot be endlessly interrupted by protesters who violate the rules and the law. And John, certainly that is what has occurred on campus. People drumming all hours of the day, chanting. There are, for hundreds of protesters, there are thousands of students at Columbia trying to study for exams, heading toward graduation.
Well, it's really interesting because if you compare this to 1968, as Shara Shinlin was talking about, the 1968 disorders at Columbia University, which some people call the Columbia riots, started with the takeover of Hamilton Hall by black students protesting a segregated gym that was being built in a park, a public park. White students that were protesting the Vietnam then, in support of that, took over 3 other buildings. The college administration was very hesitant to call in the police.
Hey, John, I think you lost your mic.
Yep, no, second time, sorry. The college administration was very hesitant to call in police, and, looking back on it, a lot of people felt they waited too long, and when police did come in, it was brutal. It was the tactical patrol force. That's when they, worked with helmets and wooden nightsticks and dealt with resistance in very different ways than they do today. And I think, they are looking back at history and saying, what are the red lines? What are the points where we engage? And that statement from Columbia tells us a lot, which is we were negotiating with the students on the quad. We were in talks that had been going on for days, and we had held off on calling the police in for a second time.
Some of the protesters, I believe the shot is, this is not on the campus itself, this is just outside the campus. Protesters still lighting flares. Julia Vargas Jones is joining us. Julia was on campus when police moved in. She and her camera person were then moved off scene. She's now outside the campus. Julia, explain where you are and what you're seeing.
Anderson, I'm at 114th. This is 114th and Amsterdam Avenue. Police just forcefully removed the protesters. They were sitting down on 114th, refusing to leave. Instead of arresting them, though, they're just pushing them out. I think you can see that. I hope you can see what's going on. They were students that were making a human chain outside of Hamilton Hall. They were pushed just like we were out to 114th Street, and now they're being forcibly removed.
So that's interesting, Julia. So these were the protesters who had the human chain who you were showing us earlier on the steps of Hamilton Hall. Exactly. You're saying they weren't actually arrested immediately. They were actually just kind of herded off campus, and that's who these people are?
Yes, that's who these people are. And they stopped on 114th on their way from being forcibly removed. They stopped here. They were on the street, on the ground, Anderson, locking arms again, trying to show that they will not leave, but there's only so much that you can do against the NYPD.
So they've now been pushed off the street. You're at 114th in Amsterdam, I can see. So they were pushed off. Interesting that they were not arrested and still haven't been arrested.
No, they were not arrested. They were just pushed out. They're out here with everyone else. So myself, hundreds of other students that were pushed out off campus. We're here on 114th in Amsterdam. I can't go back inside. A lot of people can't go back. 114th is completely closed off to traffic and traffic. We just saw a father with his toddler daughter trying to get home. Eventually, police let him go through, but it's a nightmare for anyone who lives here on the Upper West Side. There's lots of people trying to get from one side to the other. Absolutely impossible. Now, we've been pushed on to Amsterdam. I think that he will eventually get back into campus. I'm at the Graduate School of Journalism, and we were told that we would have access back to campus. I'm out here, Anderson, with just my phone, AirPods, and a battery pack, so I don't know how long we'll actually last. All of our things are inside. All of our belongings are inside. We didn't plan to be kicked out. We were told that we would have guaranteed entry, especially media students would be able to go back and forth from campus and out. NYPD saying absolutely not. There's no way that could happen. I don't understand why. I want to show you a little bit more of the action here. Can you get up here, Corinne, a bit and just show a little bit? Everything is stopped, and now the protest has basically moved all to outside. And everyone that was was inside is now outside. The chants are the same. It's the same people. It's the same kafias. Now we're just on 114th in Amsterdam.
Julia, you may only have an AirPod and a cell phone and a battery pack,